Lorna D. Cervantes is a Chicana poet and activist who is considered one of the greatest figures in Chicano poetry. She is the author of 5 poetry collections, including Emplumada, Ciento, 100-word love poems, and most recently, Sueño. But there is another one, right? Lorna, tell us about it and read a poem, please.
Yes, I have a brand new book, April on Olympia from Marsh Hawk Press. It's available from small press distribution and available from me. There's a link on the on my bio for this reading. I'd like to read the first poem. The river doesn't want the wall. The river doesn't want the wall. It wants to ring free where it wants. The river doesn't want the wall. It wants to roam through the home of the brave. It wants to run free with salmon, with stone, with ceremonies older than borders. It wants to cross with the swell and drain. Rain doesn't want a wall to contain it, to constrain the span of progress. River wants to merge its way to confluence. River wants to mingle and feed. River wants the rocks to sing freedom's song. River wants wind to speak its peace. The river doesn't want the wall. The land won't let it. The floods won't cede. The people will sing. The river wants to let freedom ring. The river wants to let my people go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we're going to go to Nicca Ray. Nicca is the author of 2 books, the memoir Ray by Ray, A Daughter's Take on the Legend of Nicholas Ray from 3 Rooms Press, and the poetry collection Backseat Baby from Poison Fang Books. Her poetry has recently appeared in Maintenance 15, Paper Teller Diorama, Great Weather for Media, and in Love, Love number 4. She is 2020 Edgar Award recipient for memoir and a Pushcart Prize nominee. Welcome, Nicca.
Hi, it's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me. So I'm going to read poems from a project I'm working on where I'm basing poems on the drawings of my husband, the artist Jesse McCluskey. So I can't show the drawings here, but if you're interested, check out my social media. So this is drawing number 1. She's a board stiff as a board, dancing with one shoe. She's a head up in the air, snacking on the hair of the man who bit her. She's a 2-bit battle scar wondering how she ends up naked again, backing against walls of again and again. Thank you.
Thank you. Donna Snyder, you're up next. Donna founded the Tumblewords Project in southern New Mexico in 1995 and continues to organize its free weekly writing workshop series in El Paso. Gutter Snob Books will publish her 4th poetry collection, As Meaningful as Any Other, due out in the summer of 2022. Welcome, Donna.
Thanks, Belinda. Thanks so much for having me here. And greetings to all my colleagues and compañeras. I'll read the title poem out of As Meaningful as Any Other. And it actually begins with a quote. It is a random universe to which we bring meaning, from Eschatological Laundry List by Sheldon Cott. We live in a random universe to which we supply meaning. So just do it. Interpret the signs that surround you. Use the titles of records in the antique jukebox as a meaningful tool of augury. Throw in the name of the cafe in which you find yourself, a pocket full of quarters and time. Always start with Patsy Cline. And if your jukebox has no Patsy in it, in and of itself, that deficiency is a sign with which you must reckon. Ignore the flatulence of the woman weeping at the next table, tears flooding her lonely face. Do not, however, ignore the tears or that lonely face. Ask the waitress for some blank guest checks off the pad she uses to take orders. Let the size of those blank checks dictate the length of your notes from the symbology the universe has assigned you for your interpretive pleasure. Don't forget, the name of what you are writing upon is blank check, for this fact also has meaning. The sound of the music, the words contained in the song titles, the rhythm of the cafe door as it swings open and shut, the periodicity of the crying woman's flatus, the size and number of guest checks the waitress has shared with you. These are your only parameters. Let your thoughts fall upon the paper like rain. Read the glyphs that fall upon the paper before you, and oracle writing itself. You supply the meaning.
Oh, thank you, Donna. Okay, Jack Henry, you're up next.
Ooh, ooh.
Jack Henry is a writer based in the high desert of Southeast California, out with the Joshua trees and endless starry nights. Over the years, he has found acceptance at venues, large and small, known and unknown. In the late 2021, Henry's latest collection, Driving with Crazy, from Punk Hostage Press. In 2010, Epic Rights released Crunked, and way back in the day, Neopoesis Press published With the Patience of Monuments. For more, go to his website, which is jackhenry.wordpress.com. Welcome, Jack.
Thanks, appreciate it. I also have a new one coming out at the end of this year from Gutter Snob as well, called Los Angeles.
Okay.
This is called Cartoon Memory Playground. It's from Driving with Crazy, and Driving with Crazy is a poetic memoir to my father, memory of my father. Cartoon Memory Playground. Madness strikes when you're not looking, when we sit in the last row of a broken down church, when we conduct an orchestra with a delicate touch. Madness does not need sunshine and rain clouds or diamond star halos. Madness does not need anything to destroy all that we know. Madness sits waiting in dust-filled corners with spiders and discarded candy wrappers. Madness looks you square in the face. Madness is something you know. Madness makes normal seem crazy, makes living feel deadly, makes breathing a struggle when you sit still and alone. Madness, magic for all the wrong reasons. I lived with crazy all of my life. Madness is exhausting until meds kick in, yet the channels on the TV never seem to change. When the pills stop working, and they always stop working, madness might kill you in a blink of an eye.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mike Matthews. Mike is a poet, artist, and professor. He teaches writing courses, including creative writing in Texas for Central Texas College. He has 2 books available from Finishing Line Press. One is Water of Joy, available on the website. The other is called Ashes, and it's it's Mike's turn. I think it'll switch to you when you start talking, Mike.
Oh, so I guess it didn't show, but that's okay.
Go
Should I
ahead.
show the cover?
Yeah.
Here's the cover of Water of Joy.
Uh-huh.
And then Ashes is in the pre-ordering stage
Oh, you knew.
from now until May 27th.
Okay.
So I can read from Ashes. It's a poem called White Ashes. What did Dad see when he looked at the horizon? filled with Gulf water and small breaking waves? When did he look at the sea and say, that's where I want to go, to let my ashes sift into salt and sand? What kind of freedom did the coast give him from his struggle with his body, born with holes in his heart, that he could never breathe enough to run like the boundless wind and waves? Fishers on the pier showed us their one big fish, curled in a cooler and wrapped with rubber bands. A slow barge left the wide mouth of the river, leaving the boundary of the shore for the sea. Grackles shuttled on the bank and gurgled. No seagulls swarmed over the few dead fish. We found a charred log on the shore that burned black in a distant fire. His brass urn shined in the bright October sun. The white smoke from the incense smelled like the sweet calm of a temple, and the small flames on the candles slowly descended through the words, happiness, health, forever. We poured his ashes in the ocean, where the Colorado River meets the Gulf of Mexico, where the waves felt like fists when they broke against our chests. Dad's caliche white ashes sifted into the sandy brown water, where they spread together with the endless breathing waves, forever indistinguishable.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Susie, you didn't write much bio, so after I read this one line, you can add something if you'd like.
Hey, look, we have the spirit of Lorna D.
I know, Lorna, you're very much in the dark. If while Susie's reading, if you could put a little more light on your face, that'd be great. Susie is the editor of the Artist-Made Poetry Chapbook series, Red Mare. She's also a well-published poet and an artist. And take it away, Susie. Tell us a little more.
Thank you so much for having me. I'd like to read my first poem from this book called Chicago Poems, which is published by Breaking Rules and is on Amazon, as well as their site. And I realize that there's only one person probably still alive who's heard this poem, Paul Huber, so I'll dedicate it to him. It's called Fine Point. Dear Mom, in my next life, I want to be a nuclear warhead, all cozy in my silo, like a mom and pop motel with its gift-wrapped soap. I'd miss all the tender social events, but imagine me fashionably late. I can see the dread on your face when I peek at you. Instead, I'm Penelope Pink in the shower, foamy and with cockroach legs. My skin is a desert, complete with a bleached, arching bone, a sticky tongue. I'm a model, a carbuncle of airplane glue. I am porcelain and undrinkable. I'm a mayonnaise jar filled with false teeth. And only my hair is plant-like. Only my toes are worth eating.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mimi Sherman. Mimi writes, she is a queer poet residing part-time in Portland, Oregon, where she is an advocate and activist for unhoused neighbors, while spending the rest of her time in the high desert of Steens Mount Wilderness in southeastern Oregon. Her prosaically beat poems about the houseless have been read in Portland City Council as testimony for houseless rights and have appeared in the Hopper, the Mantle, Three-Line Poetry, and will be appearing in many other places. Her first book, Beneath the Gravel Weight of Stars. And welcome, Mimi.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. I've read so many of you online, so it's nice to meet everybody. Yeah, this is my book, Beneath the Gravel Weight of Stars, and it is about my experiences working with houseless folks in Portland. And I always start off just by reading a very short dedication to the people that this book is about. And the dedication is, when the wood is too wet to burn, I will feed you melons and the songs of birds. The poem I'll start off with here today is called No House Row. The oatmeal stain of 6 a.m. on the maggot's grip of winter's fist. The dung heap canvas rustles on the hang of clothesline stench. Grease the replay of a lost good day. Head torque into bending lonesome. Rusting spine of pleating shade covers the heavy curl of the unrecognizable suit and the hide of swollen fingers. This is No House Row, where taut rinds, sorrow, and dreams decompose like weeds lamenting, where grasses die tucked in the nestle of sleeting rain, the limp dick honesty of a gray sky off kilters your mask. Hungry is the sag. The heart is yesterday's buttered squash and gristle, tendered in the slow cook of hours.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'll just read a brief one and then we'll go back to Lorna, who is now somewhat visible. This is basically a diary note. I'm just keeping a diary. From March 9. The pandemic is waning, but still present. Now the threat of World War III blossoms before spring. Evergreen, mesquite, and cacti are unchanged as I learn more friends are dying. The still bare trees are pregnant. Weeds are already here, but green and flowering. I leave them and love them for now. Each year, spring is more important to see the brown and withered wake up, to know everything lives again. Okay, Miss Lorna, you're on.
Here is hoping you can see the book. You can't see the book.
Little bit.
Little bit. Yeah. Anyone wants to donate a ring light? Yeah, I'll take one. One section in this book, April on Olympia, are 30 poems for National Poetry Writing Month, where I write a poem a day. And these are from 2015. And this is the one for today, April 5th, 2015, called Burden. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. The sound opens from its teary banks to fresh waves of sweet spring fillings. Glorious birds wet the way to whack. Ay, caballo, vamos por el monte. There's a horse, let's cut through the weeds. Raven gathers, old crows remind. Strength, more than a word to steal. Old growth timber line the passageways, as those who have sell and clear cut. Here I am never home, but here, an import, an anti-commodity. What looks like fire is really rain, not on the plain, but a halo of hail upon the mountainside, a kind of healing, a resurrection. Friends write of love and war, the nevermore, never far from the lips. Send dollars and cents, as I presume to live here, here, where no soil loans, but the many baskets of needles to gather, clear, compost. Not even a worm wants to stay. There's no digging down for the roots. Down by the riverside, I lay my burden down. Another wants to kill herself. I come up, salmon, swimming dancing my way to mercy, joy bound. I stubbornly open, toned by the wee birds calling. Seeds long past their date refuse to expire. Another season of spring and load. Another year not yearning.
Thank you very much. Nicca,
Lorna D.
time for Nicca.
Okay, here I am. Drawing number 3. Raven is no pterodactyl, is no bluebird. Band of yellow glare obstructing face. Such a pretty face. Applied with eyelash curler, lip enhancing pencil, downtown hairstylist. Face. A sunshine banner announces the face of not a sunny disposition. There are no friendships on the horizon, just a liquor store downstairs. The door opens, closes, locks. The glass comes off shelf, the bottle pours. On the wings of a nighttime fever comes a vision, a pterodactyl speaking in tongues, shape-shifting into a bluebird symphony, prehistoric thinking, the barrier of thought. The think becomes the drink, becomes the band of yellow obstructing face. A look in the mirror, a look at you now, a shock at the sight of nothing before seen. Shape-shifting bluebird turns into raven, raven turns to yellow band, facing faces, calling out obstructions, one and all. Face, pretty, opens, closes, opens door. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Donna, you're up. Donna,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, it's your turn.
I know.
Okay.
This is called Saturated with Secrets. I think it's from my first book, I Am South. Never much good with secrets. I hang my dirty linen out to dry. Confessions, damp map of stain in sun-drenched mountain air. I sweep grated red yam, make piles of ruby peel that smell vaguely vegetal until withered, pallid, and dry as unwanted flesh. Beneath the rug, I stash night's ash, but you roll it into a riddle's cruelty, redolent of conch, a shiny madness meted out in rhythm and pearly rhyme. Moist whispers soft against naked skin, sustenance found alone in shadow, soaked with ululations, secrets known only to you, me, and every nose and ear, near enough to sense the senselessness of skin, of sky, of the never-ending sigh.
Thank you very much. Mike,
Hi,
hey there.
I'll read from Ashes again, since that's one is out, ready to go out on its own, find its way in the world. This is a poem called I Could Go On, but the line between morning and sleep blurs. Motionless next to the window, a flake of notion flickers. I fumble in my unwashed clothes. Together, the clock of place and step, look and breathe, winds through routine of downtown. Those faces again and those hobbling souls fill my pocket with trinkets I forget to throw away. The chatter. A man empties his coffee in sprinklets. A woman grips her skirt against cold gusts. She locks her eyes in a concrete flower. The shadows. Tunes from cars strewn by drivers with no faces. Pecking pigeons pinhole their shadows. Here, where a child throws gum. And there, where a man yells to his wife. And here, where a bike locks to rust on the lamppost. These rows of yesterdays grow like shadows, stretching toward the opposite horizons of gray mornings and chalky sunsets.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Susie?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
This is a difficult manuscript for me because I've had to recover it a couple of times. So it's under reconstruction for the third time. And this is one of the poems that recently returned to me, like yesterday. It's called Equinox, 2 parts. 1, I bring them, searching girls, women of the people, men who hold their boys inside themselves. Sanctified by love, the March sun burns me to myself. Biloxi Beach and Big Black with a gypsy, Debbie. 2, girlfriends have bangs, but my hair has her moods. I'm a winter's reformed 5 years douching her with chemicals. Yet voluptuous Debbie in black fringes is called me by a drunk on Frenchman Street. Now 3 women sleep in my house. On the day grandma's geranium shows herself round, red, you come with a motion of darkness, percussion, electricity, mothers calling. You are abundant, and we return to you by vehicles of tea and blood. Your chords cause shouts and shivering windows. I can hear you hissing now, a presence in fluids. Your chorus and chimes, train whistles, the seashell of all hearing, a rejoinder to our chant, our dab of sunflower seeds, a turned earth we share touching.
Thank you very much, Susie. Okay, Mimi.
This is a poem called Afflicted. She held her breath as if she was holding God. When she could no longer stand it, when her eyes bulged like a blowfish on a hook, she exhaled and God let go of her. Sometimes she waited for angels to appear in the silence, not knowing that the silence was an angel appearing. The doctor said she was afflicted because she could not shut her eyes. She dreamed. She never slept, which wasn't a dream. She was the colors of all things, and all things were she. In the early morning hour, she would lay on the ground, feeling the moon tied to her belly. She was its rock, tied to a tree. When the ground swayed, she laughed on her swing. As the moon exhaled, she tucked in the season's corners. She collected leaves and sometimes dust. She walked the shimmering trail of scales, tiptoeing the jangled light. She rubbed her skin in luminescent sand to feel whole, dipping her tilt into the lost lake. She wasn't certain of the footings, but she knew the notes of the wind. Yesterday, she met a young man who was high on living. He told her, no matter what, there's beauty. She thought he looked like a spirit. A truck blew its horn, startling her back into the stark. She inhaled.
Oh, thank you very much, Mimi.
You.
The growing up dream. I'm 5. My grandmother smells like polka dots as she spits something brown into the fire of a cast iron stove. She sews and lies because her warlock won't allow it. But she has powers too. Her false teeth soaking in a clear glass keeps me at a distance. I cannot overcome their power of disgust. The little imp who stays with us eats raw bacon, peas on flowers, and disappears in the woods to mislead me. After a while, we're in a clearing and there's a house, not of gingerbread, with an old witch, but a 2-story shack with an old man whittling a cane on its rotting front porch. It holds crab apples, and the cane becomes a snake, which chases me for many years. Then finally, I make peace with a snake. That day, I buy and wear a polka dot dress and smell
Yes,
like a woman.
I
Okay.
love that.
Well, thank you. Okay, Miss Lorna.
Okay, this is a poem called Brass Band for Alphonse Lewis. Thank you to my homeroom teacher for leaving me for hours under a tuba, too heavy to lift. It caged me in my band chair for making something more than music. Thank you for your musical hands, my color, for your stories of women too pure to touch your filth, for helping her up to her seat anyway. You, the composer, a Beethoven, but black. Thank you for getting stuck in that barrio junior high, for making the best of us, for fighting for our right to die and be buried with the rest, for teaching me to question, for making me keep my head down in order to imagine, for telling me to never mind my ragged rolled skirts, the broken toed shoes from Jesus Saves bins on Thursdays. Thank you for leaving me there to own my perpetual late, my too far ahead, my never going to get there, my failure. Now, remembering your name, you are forever etched in brass.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, Miss Nicca.
Oh, hey. So Jack Henry didn't go.
Oh, he's after you. You, Donna, then Jack, then did we skip?
Oh, okay.
Did I skip?
We skipped him.
Oh, Jack, did I
We
skip
skipped
you
him.
earlier? I'm sorry if I skipped you. Go ahead then if I did that.
No, that's fine. I'll go. Thanks, Nicca. This is called My Father's Eyes. It's from Driving with Crazy. My father's eyes. My father has beautiful blue eyes, eyes we share. When I look into his eyes, I see myself, my mortality. I see fire and fight, a longing to understand why we've locked him away in the loony bin. Some days they are remarkably clear and bright, that mischievous glimmer, still a boy raising hell, pulling pranks, all with a golden heart. Some days his eyes are gray. He cannot speak well enough to make you understand, and the frustration just builds. And through it all, he wants to help those around him. Russell, the retired Marine that wanders the hall. His roommate, Bill, that is so medicated he can barely stay awake. Randy with Tourette's calms down when my father looks him in the eye. So much frustration is fading and fading. When the mind snaps and the body slows, we hang on and fight for each moment, each breath. Every day, a new hope and a new disappointment. We all dance in front of the mirror and only stop when they take the mirror away and blue eyes slowly close.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Nicca.
I just want to shout out to Jack Henry because I'm just a huge fan of his book, Driving with Crazy. So, okay, so I'm going to read drawing number 5, Boot Habit. In my dream, there is a woman whose face is part boot. Her dark sheet hair is pushed off her forehead with a white band. Or is her hair a habit, the habit her boot habit obscuring a face, reminiscent of Mary Magdalene? She is as holy as the boots I saw in the window on Fifth Avenue yesterday. I want to be her. I want to wear her, slip my toes deep inside the boot. Her. I have an obsession to share my confession, my wanting to steal that boot off the shelf, to break the glass, hear alarms blare. I need that boot. It's all I think about. Her holy goddess boot.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Page. This is called Kandinsky number 7. Stained glass jumps off the wall. Kandinsky's thought made visible. Iconoclasm breaks the image into what you see. Window, liberated from the restrictions of window, moves through time and space and into I. Did Kandinsky know what the physicists say now, that matter can be in 2 places at once? Schrodinger's cat, both in and outside the box, both alive and dead. Every dead thing also living in some dimension or else another. I ate beans and physics for breakfast, can you tell? Mind tried hard to expand as fast as the gas filled my guts. My dog, Precious Lola, is living and precious, filled with the spirits of her secret fairy godmothers, her guardian angels. Precious dances across the floor like little Frida did, athletic and beautiful and all soft smiles like baby Tina. And she looks at me through Lily Baby's eyes. I sing through darkness to Kandinsky. Everything disappears into a little black dot.
All right, thank you. Jack, looks like you're ready again.
Oh boy, I'm not ready. No, I am. This is called Out to Kill Rabbits. Out to Kill Rabbits. The first day we dressed out in PE in high school, a senior boy punched me in the face, called me queer, and a chorus of other boys howled in derision. A rabbit sits atop a grassy knoll, eats grass, and watches for danger. At 16, I had yet to accept my awkwardness, long legs, gangly arms, acne, sadness, and general ineptitude. A rabbit hides during daylight in thick bushes or down holes in the earth, fearful of predators and potential death. Throughout 10th grade, everyone picked on me, put me in the corner, bullied me into complete sorrow. Yet I learned to run, to shout them down, to fight without remorse, to keep secrets locked down tight. Coyotes and wolves and kids with rocks stalk the rabbit. But if the rabbit is smart, they stay safe. They must always be smarter than those that wish them harm. By senior year, I reached full height, full strength, mind quick and nimble, and more clever than the bullies. I outgrew the noise of high school, but not before breaking bones and crushing souls. A rabbit cornered can be a fearsome thing, and they will fight for survival when running away is no longer an option. Just after winter break my senior year, I found myself in front of the damning gaze of a vice principal, his face red, voice rough from yelling. I had become the bully. A rabbit's life is short due to so many predators. Life is in the wild is always a struggle. Upon graduation, I left high school, never looked back. I still break bones of predators out to kill rabbits.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Mike?
Hi, I'm going to choose this poem because someone eats physics for breakfast. This one's called The Book of Waves. I was reading a strange book about time a long time ago and wrote this. You say this is the end of time and that all is like a movie where each moment is a photo frame on a strip of endless film. And you say there is no motion and that we are the perceivers of a clot of bundled snapshots in which we are the subjects. But what would time be without the wet pages of salty waves sliding onto shore, opening from spines, stretching somewhere from the dark deep? Without the gritty book cover, particulate and portentous, grinded by the backs of pages, there would be no waves of sparklight. If I should turn to walk a way I had not been facing before and see the sides of beaching waves I had not seen until I faced them, then would it be that light rests there, if only for the time it takes to catch the eye from where I stand, yet never to be caught again? I see along the foamy lip an hour of a seagull, and depending on the rising night, gulls mark the edge of froth-lipped waves. Like noisy words and lines that drop between the water, sand, and air, the line that curves and twists remains unsnapped as waves attempt their words. The waves leave their spit and babble, timeless polish on tiny shells, half sunk in the grip of wet sand. The shells clock an endless twist. The shells curve into themselves, endlessly speaking of timeless pink columns of its divisions. Yet when I stoop to squeeze one shell from the concrete grip of wet sand, I move, the waves move, and the shell spills birds along the ocean's waves that slide their backs onto the shore. The waves flow from a book spine on the ocean floor and spread open leaf after leaf that grinds rock to sand. Each grain reflects a spark of sun and moon. Like crazy syntax written on the sea waves of a never repeated sentence, in the stillest of opened books, the pictures on a picture page always open and never move without the moving changes that mark our moments with a march of motion, sounds, and water birds. Sibilant waves slide still as if the illustration stamps timeless on the canvas with a frenzied stillness, noiseless, static, and gray. You say, but if this beach, the city, these platelets of geometric timeless events, you say, that do not move with time in a moment when all moments stop, in the end and the beginning, one.
Thank you. Susie?
Hi. I wrote this poem for this reading yesterday. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thanks. Okay. So I wrote this poem for all y'all yesterday morning and also for some specific people. So it's dedicated to Mary and it's called Refugee. I found them in a pile of bodies, so many still alive, all mounded in a quadrant pile, the sector of decapitations to the southwest. I took who I could in a hasty moment, filling the transport in minutes. For the first few hours they rode in the sun, making of an ordinary Sunday. Their first night they slept in the 5 containers in which I had smuggled them, still open to predation. And so this Monday morning, a crisp, bright day, they begin the housing. Those who don't like the Arctic storms of climate disruption went under established bamboo natives to a Midlands now called China. I tried to keep to their apparent tribes, some genetic similarity, some hope of an uncontained life. If they can negotiate a Florida oak already rooted a decade, the obvious child of the stately elder across the fence. We rest a spell to scrawl and stretch the spine. There are still the Mediterranean ones who look to have been well housed. Their oblongs are still intact. They will go into the garlics and the holy basil, their cousin. But there's one hybrid exotic, well endowed, and 2 cast into the mound of bodies left to die under a tree, surrounded by tractor tire tracks and near a land again flooding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Miss Mimi.
Okay, this poem from the same book is called The Crossing. Shadows cross the wired streets, the long dash of the horning day, the slow roll of the sidewalk suitcase, the step of the heavy cloud, deliberate the lift of the wet sneaker, the sod of a prayer. She walks, hunting for cans or love to feed the bear. Last night's sun was turned off. The moon had fled. Today, the forecast is too cold to be desperate. Beneath the unsnow of sky, one foot follows the other. Regrettably, anywhere is the graveyard.
Thank you. Earth Day. I nurture self-planted mesquite trees outside my desert home. I do not own the land, but my husband says he does. He'll do with it as he likes. He says he's boss and he wants the new trees gone. I'm the one who tends the greenery, mostly cacti, creosote, and sage bushes, front and back. I water and trim and painfully weed. I welcome all green because so little grows here, but I do this for him. He declares the mesquites will disappear. They're not following the rules. I plead, please don't. I nurture them. But he's bought a chainsaw. I know his plan. Soon I will be gone all day selling art. In a last-ditch effort and in vain, I leave a note that says, please don't kill what I love.